Hello, I'm David, and this is a short presentation about the Jagged Globe trip to Rush Peak in the Hunza Valley. I've led this trip 3 times before, most recently summer 2023, and that's when these pictures were taken, and we're returning at a similar time in August 24. This peak here is Rakaposhi. This is the Hunza Valley, and the much photographed fort at Karimabad, but this time seen from the reverse. The group this summer was 4 people, and we've got 2 of the local staff here, Jamil the cook and Ali the assistant guide. The peak which really dominates this trek, we walked towards it for the first half and then climbed to a high viewpoint in the second half, is the peak of Spantik, just over 7,000 meters. Most expeditions climb Spantik from the Baltistan, the Arandu side, which is the back coming from the other end as we look at this picture. This is the famous Golden Pillar, the steeper side of the mountain. This mountain just over 7,000 meters. This is a really interesting hike. It's varied. The campsites like this one are all beautiful, nice, flat grass, no camping on rocks. The hiking varies between easy trails and crossing glaciers. And always day and night, the peak which dominates the views and gives the best photographs is Spantik. This quite typical of the traveling days. The distances covered aren't great, perhaps 10 kilometers a day, but because the paths are quite difficult, the walking often takes 4, 5, or 6 hours, walking along the side of the glacier on these fairly narrow paths that were established by cattle herders taking animals to the high pastures. This is not a popular area for trekking, despite the wonderful views. And on all my trips here, apart from the last day or 2 when we climbed Rush Peak, I've never met anyone hiking in these valleys. Much of the Karakoram is really quite dry and dusty, and that's one of the things that makes this such a good trek. So much of the terrain is vegetated, and we're able to walk through different types of grasses and bushes and see lots of wildflowers. I think I'd say about 80% of the hiking is on these grassy valleys, and 20%, the most difficult section, is crossing these glaciers that link. I just put this in to show that although most of the food we eat is sourced locally, we do bring a few things from the UK to add variety to the menu. An example here of the flowers in the landscape. Up to this campsite, just over 3,000 meters, Shuja Basa, gives a good example of the facilities. There's 5 of us traveling in this group. So here are our tents. We've got a toilet tent, dining tent, kitchen for the staff, and one of the tents being used by the staff. In the vast majority of the campsites here, there were no other people, and this area really not visited very often. From that campsite, we moved up to the base camp at the bottom of Spantik's Golden Pillar, 4,600 meters, and again, a lovely grassy area. Get back to camp, the staff have all picked some flowers for us, and just looking at what people are wearing gives you impression. Fairly warm, a bit like summer hiking in the Alps. It's optional whether you dress to stay cool or to protect yourself from the strong sunlight, which is why I'm wearing long sleeve shirt and long trousers. The hiking can be done either in what I would call relatively light hiking boots, or I'm wearing hiking shoes. This typical of the grass terrain that we're traveling across. And again, different types of bushes and berries underfoot. There is some cattle herding in these valleys. A few locals will move up to a certain pasture for a few weeks and then back down to the village. so there are a few bones and skulls of the animals around. So we've now dropped down to 3,300 meters. A good shot here of the facilities, fairly large tents for 2 people and a comfortable dining tent with tables and chairs. On the whole, the walking each day takes about half the day, which generally gives us the afternoon free to relax in camp, sit in a chair under a tree, read a book, or take pictures. The most strenuous part of this trip, I suppose, is at the end, once we've got acclimatized. It's a fairly steep climb over 2 days to get to the summit of Rush Peak. We've been camping down here by the glacier, and climbing up to the camp at Chidin Harai is about 1,000 meters. So starting early to avoid the sun, steep for the first 80%, then it levels off to more gentle terrain, and we get this view down into the main Hunza Valley in the background. In the summer months, there are herders up here with herds of yaks, a group of young yaks here. And then the following day, coming from our camp just over that rise, we come up, walk past Rush Lake at 4,600 meters. It's the highest alpine lake in Pakistan, and it's not unusual to see 1 or 2 small groups camped by the lake. There's 2 other groups here. We make a reasonably early start, a climb of about 800 meters, walking up past the lake on the way to the summit of Rush Peak, around 5,100 meters, giving a good view over the surrounding landscape. And on the way down the following day, a nice rainbow over the Hunza Valley. To give an idea, this my final shot, how the trek runs. We leave from the village of Hispar, spend a couple of days traveling down the west side of the main glacier to Shujabasa camp, return trip to Spantik Base Camp, and then coming back down the east side of the Barpu Glacier, stopping here and making the 3-day excursion up to climb Rush Peak before returning to Hopper Village. All in all, a really interesting trip, which can be done in 2 weeks from the UK, taking advantage of the flight connections between Islamabad and Skardu on the outward journey, and then traveling back in a minibus down the Karakoram highway on the return journey. So if you have any questions, contact me via Jagged Globe, and there's a detailed itinerary giving a bit more factual information on the website. So thanks for watching.